Welcome back to the Marketing Reseller Business Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie with Lady Suburbia and Biz Marketing Coach. Today, we're diving into something I think we all need to hear more often, and that is celebrating the small wins in your business. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you acknowledged a small win? Like you really stopped, took a deep breath, and recognized the progress that you're making as a small business owner. We get so caught up in chasing the big milestones, maybe huge sales or viral social media posts, or hitting five figures, six figures, and beyond, which is all great. And we should celebrate that. But then we forget that every big win is built on a series of small wins. And those small wins, they deserve to be celebrated too. So today we're going to talk about why recognizing small wins is important, examples of small wins you might be overlooking, and simple ways to celebrate those small victories. Let's start by talking about why small wins are a big deal. Because you might be thinking, okay, Stephanie, why does this matter? Move on. I'm just trying to run my business and you're talking about small wins. Well, small wins matter because one, they keep you motivated. Running a small business isn't always smooth sailing. Some days feel slow and some weeks don't go as planned. I know that for just off personal experience. I've been having a really rough few weeks on my personal side. And that's nothing where I am upset about. It's just I wear many hats. Not only my business owner, I have two businesses. I'm also a mother, I'm a wife, I'm an aunt, I'm a cousin, I'm a volunteer. I hold many roles in my life, just as many of you that are listening. And so those small wins can really keep me motivated, especially during times where I feel that my business is pretty slow and some weeks are not going as planned and I'm feeling a little discouraged. I need those small wins to keep me motivated. But the small wins, they remind you that you're moving forward, even when progress feels slow. That can be a huge challenge, right? Oh my gosh, things are going slow this week. I'm a bit overwhelmed. But look at those little rays of sunshine and those little pockets where these small wins are coming in and how we can take those small wins and make them a bigger part of our business. And one example is finally had the time to sit down and list, let's say 20 items that may have been listed in your or sitting in your drafts forever. That is a huge win. Or if I can rephrase that, maybe they're not even in your drafts, but listing items that are in your quote unquote death pile or money pile. That's a small win. So think back to the last time you felt unstuck in your business. What is one small win that helped push you forward? Just kind of sit on that for a moment. And throughout the podcast, while you're listening, I encourage you to post a comment. And I want to know, as I ask some of these questions, I really want to engage with you guys and celebrate those wins. So that motivation leads to something even better, and that is momentum. And that's our next point. Every time you accomplish something, no matter how small, you build confidence in your ability to keep going. So small wins build confidence and momentum. For example, you organize your inventory and now it takes you half the time to ship an order. My gosh, that is a huge game changer. And another example is back in 2023, I had a lot going on during the summer months. So I would say May, June, July. On a personal level, it's usually personal that takes up how much of an impact or how much I can do in my business. That's just how I decided to run my business and the flexibility that being a seller provides for my family and I. But I had an inventory system that was pretty much non-existent. I just had a box that said women's and men's, and there was really no custom SKU. I didn't go to that extent of making it more clear and concise. And I ended up being below standard because I didn't have a good inventory management system, and that just tanked. But within a couple of months, I was back to where I needed to be, and I started celebrating those wins. So just organizing your inventory can be definitely a small win that's going to yield big rewards. And it also helps with certain processes. So as we are kind of going through that, and about momentum is organizing and it cutting down your shipping time in half is keeping up with processing times and making it quicker. Another example is that maybe you committed to posting on social media, let's say Instagram in particular, 3 days a week or 3 times a week. And now you're starting to see engagement from potential customers. That is a small win. So have you ever looked back and realized how far you have come just from taking small, consistent actions? And here is the best part, guys, is small wins actually lead to big wins. So small wins lead to big wins and better processes. Those small steps create habits and systems that lead to major success down the road. An example. You took 10 minutes each day to tidy up your workspace, and now you don't waste time searching for supplies. It's huge. I love shipping. I think between shipping and listing, I would prefer shipping. Listing, I have a challenge with listing items because I'm a one-person team and I get help from time to time, but I enjoy the shipping aspect. I do. It's fun for me, but it can be very messy when you're grabbing tape and you're pulling strips from poly mailers and you're stacking them up and organizing and put them in bags. It can be a mess, especially if you had a busy weekend of sales and you're coming in after Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you have 30, 40 items and they're all in different sizes and boxes. When I am done shipping, I look at my workstation and I'm like, oh my gosh, it is a hot mess. And just taking a few minutes to clean that up makes it so much better because I'm better prepared for the next day when I ship out again. And then my office is not completely clean and clear, but that chaos has been minimized. And so that helps with certain processes. These small processes will lead to success down the road because I'm gaining and learning new habits and I am trying to streamline and cut down processing times for my business, which give me time to do more things. Another example could be refining your sourcing strategy. And now you consistently find maybe higher profit items or items with a higher sell-through rate. And an example would be for me in clothing. I've mentioned several times during previous podcasts, along with on social media, is that I don't necessarily sell in clothing as much as I used to. I started off a clothing seller and added other categories to my business. And I found that clothing is one that I would prefer not to sell in, at least on eBay. And I do have items. I will still list clothing because there is some connection to clothing that's depending on the brand, the sizing, and all these things. I'll get it listed. But I am sourcing more clothing for Poshmark. I used to be a pretty big time Poshmark live seller. And because of time constraints, I haven't been able to dedicate that time to it. But I have a community there, and that community purchases from me when I have live shows. And so I want to be able to find and sourcing locations that have pretty good clothing that I can get at a decent price and make a profit on. So when I'm able to locate a new store or a new sourcing location, I think that that is definitely a small win because then I don't have to run around town while I'm thrifting in other categories to spend another 2, 3 hours trying to find clothing for my live show. It's very streamlined and I'll just go to one or two, get what I need to get prepped for my weekly or bi-weekly live show on Poshmark. So that is a big win. And now that we've talked about, why small wins matter, let's get into more examples because I just love giving examples. These examples are a way for you to sort of understand my business and my business model and some of the things that I have gone through that it's make me a stronger business owner, and I'm giving these tips that maybe you can take one or two and apply to your business and see how well that works. So as I go through the list, think about which one of these you've accomplished weekly or maybe you accomplished recently, and I'll bet you'll find a few that you can celebrate today. So let's go over the first one, business operation wins. So clearing out your draft listings that have been sitting for weeks. Mentioned that earlier. That is a win that you may be overlooking. Completing admin work that you've been avoiding task, but I don't really celebrate once I complete it. And so those are small wins that you may be overlooking because it's just part of your process, part of your system, but celebrate. You got things knocked out. You got it accomplished. Woohoo! Cleaning and organizing your workspace, whether it's your shipping workspace or just your desk. I have multiple things on my desk. I have a computer. I have a mini fan. I have my label printer, my roller label printer. I have other items on my desk that it gets really messy at times as I'm listing and processing items and shipping, that I have to make sure that I get it organized every day. And once the chaos and the mess is cleaned up, although it's not 100% perfect, it's good enough where when I come in the next day, I'm not walking into just a crazy desk. There's still an element here, something there, but I don't have to worry about not being able to see where my computer is because I've done cleaning the night before, the day before, to get me prepared for the following day. And I know the last one may not seem like a big deal, but a clutter-free space for me can totally change how productive I feel. The next area is growth and achievement wins. Getting approved for an affiliate program. That is a small win that you can celebrate. Amazon has a pretty good affiliate program, but you may be utilizing a product or a service that has helped you with your small business, and that particular company has an affiliate program. It may be easy to get approved, or it may be a lengthy process. It may be some requirements that you must fulfill before you are invited to be part of it. So if you get approved for that affiliate program, celebrate it and then share it to your customers and share it to your following, because now they will be able to possibly get a discount based off of that product or service, and you're sharing something you really enjoy. Finding a new sourcing spot with great inventory. I mentioned earlier, I found a couple other locations that specifically have really good clothing deals, and they have sales and 75% off on certain days. And that 75% off is in addition to whatever markdown. And I am on it. It's not a day that I normally source, but I have decided to add that to my schedule, maybe not every week, but every other week, and make it a priority to go and check it out because my cost of goods are decreasing, and that allows more profit that I can put into the business and continue to buy more of those particular products or buy other products like hard goods and electronics. Let's also look at hitting a milestone, maybe your first 100 sales or first $1,000 a month, or maybe your first $1,000 week, or even your first repeat customer. And if it's not first, it could be seconds or thirds. But the point I'm trying to hit is that those milestones, although they may be small, make an impact in your business, and they help motivate and keep that momentum going and keep you moving forward, as selling, especially online, can be very challenging. So have you recently hit a milestone, a big one, or even a small one? And what did you do to celebrate? So put it in the comment, put it in the chat. I want to read, I want to know what you're doing to celebrate your milestones. This third section is customer and sales wins. So number one would be gaining a new customer from a social media post. You've been consistently posting on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or Pinterest. There's so many platforms out there, but you've just been consistent, and now you're seeing engagement, and that engagement led to a new customer. That is a small win. Maybe finishing up a month where you had no returns or no disputes. That is also a small win that you may be overlooking. Or handling a negative customer experience without letting it ruin your day. In the last episode, I discussed how returns can actually be beneficial to your business as an online seller. And I highlighted negative reviews in not letting that get to you, as negative reviews can really affect you emotionally, because some of us do take our business very personal, and negative reviews impact the way we run our business, can bring us down. But that's all part of the business. But a good win would be handling one of those reviews or handling that customer experience and not letting it get to you. You need to celebrate. And finally, we're going to talk about something that's just as important, and it's mindset. I have a really good friend, and we discussed the mindset of business. I've had this particular business, my marketing company, since 2011, and I've been in the reselling world since 2008. So I've been around many different small businesses in so many different categories and industries. And mindset, personal and business mindset, is important. We may run a business, but not have the business mindset to really maintain that business. and having resources all around you can be beneficial to the growth and success. And so when we look at personal and mindset wins, we are going to look at not letting a slow sales week discourage you, keeping up with self care while running your business. That's huge. I have a notification that goes off Monday through Friday from 9 to 10 a.m., and I call that my quiet time. I don't necessarily use it every single day because it does adjust based off of my appointments and other things since I wear many hats. But I try and at least find an hour of self care time, whether that is in the morning or that is in the evening or the middle of the day where I can take time to myself and have a breather. It may not be an hour straight, but it may be 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there. I just kind of clear my mind and try not to focus on any negative energy. It's almost like business yoga. And that I've seen it has helped me kind of calm down and not let things that are not important get to me. I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm going to get upset. I'm not going to be happy with how I ran my business that day or with sales or with other things. I get discouraged just like you. But taking that time to kind of clear my mind and really focusing on self-care is going to be an ongoing thing for me. I encourage you to, look at that and find what's kind of your happy spot when things are getting out of hand and overwhelmed and pushing through challenges. If you have been a business owner for one day or 1 week or 1 month or 20 years, you're going to understand that there's going to be challenges that are going to come your way in your small business. There are too many categories, too many areas of business where things could fail, where things are not going to be as smooth as you would like it to be. They're not going to run smoothly. They're going to take up your time. For me, the balance, which, balance doesn't exist. However, trying to focus on providing good product and service to your customers without you losing who you are and losing your identity as a small business owner and your brand and what you want your customers to get from you, that experience is important. So don't get discouraged by those things, and pushing through those challenges is another big win that I feel you should celebrate. Although those are small wins that turn into big wins, let's talk about how to celebrate them. So I don't know about you, but do you take time to celebrate your wins, or do you just move on to the next thing? All of those things that I mentioned before are wins that you may be overlooking, and I think you should celebrate. However, you want to celebrate them, shoot for the stars. So, one of the things you can do is write them down. You can keep a journal to track your progress. I am a paper person. I love the computer, I love technology, but when I'm writing down goals, I like to start writing them down on a paper, and then they may eventually make its way to a spreadsheet or some type of document on the computer. But it's just once the pencil or pen is in my hand and it goes to a paper, there's something about it for me that pretty much holds me accountable. And that's just something that I enjoy doing. It's been my process for years since I was in elementary school. So I just like the actual pen and paper process when I'm writing things down. So a journal, putting on a spreadsheet, a notebook, but write them down. And once you write them down, you can reflect on how far you've come. Whenever you feel stuck, you can look at some of the goals that you accomplish and some of those small, big wins is what I'm saying throughout the podcast. One for particular is this podcast has only been around for not even a month. And the other day, I got a notification from Spotify saying that I had 50 plays. That's huge. I'm beyond a little bit past that now. And as the podcast grows and as I streamline certain processes with recording and editing and just getting my feet with and learning how to run a podcast, I know that those views will go up. But 50 is so small, but 50 people have listened to the podcast that I posted. That's huge. I didn't know how many would really take this podcast and listen to it and see if they can implement it with their small business. And there's people viewing from all different parts of the world, not just the US where the podcast is based. So that is huge. And it's a huge small win for me. So I'm going to keep on recording and keep on moving forward. And as the podcast grows, I can look at some of the notes or the screenshots I took of little milestones, and those milestones keep me motivated to keep going. You can share those milestones or those small wins publicly. I shared it on our Instagram account. So if you're on Instagram, You can follow the podcast on its Marketing Reseller Podcast from Facebook and other platforms. And I share that on my story. So the podcast has its own social media accounts, and I did. And that was very encouraging. So that's one option. And another one is if you're in any small business or reseller or online seller groups, whether it's an organization that you're a member of, that you pay to be part of this group, or you have some accountability partners, or you meet maybe once a month with other small businesses, share that. Let them know, hey, I had a podcast and I had 50 views, or I was able to, get 100 feedback score right now. I've just started my business and I have a lot of sales coming through, but I just got my 100th positive feedback. That's a huge small win. Those are things that you can share with others in the community, as they will also uplift you and share those wins as well. You can reward yourself because we are all amazing. For the sake of the podcast and goal setting, you will hear a lot of people in the community talk about, once I hit a milestone, I'm going to go on vacation. Once I hit a milestone, I'm going to get that particular bag or that item. And it's not saying that it may not be in their budget to purchase that. It may be something that they don't need right now, but it's motivational. If you're not big on things like, I want that purse that's a few $100s, and although I could buy it now, I really don't feel that I should get it. But if I accomplish this task or this task within my business, I'm going to reward myself. And then, sometimes we have guilt behind that. But maybe it's not something that's tangible or a material item. It could be getting a software, downloading something. It could be as simple as getting a coffee, going to a small business and supporting them. I mean, I don't know. The sky's the limit with that. I know that when I hit certain goals, I will go and treat myself to a particular restaurant. I love supporting small businesses, and I try and shop local as much as I can if it's an item that I know I can find, whether it's online or in person. And I also enjoy supporting some of the coffee shops in the area that are small businesses. It may not be in my budget every week to buy every single day. And so I will frequent one in particular twice a week. And I do that especially on days where I want to treat myself after some type of accomplishment, whether it's a personal accomplishment or personal goal or a business goal. I can go there anytime that they're open, but I do make my own decaf coffee and tea. I do make that at the house, but it's just fun to put a reward with a goal. And it's just a motivational tool that is used also in, not just in small business, but it's used in companies. Even when I worked a 9 to 5 in the past, even some of the contract work I do now, there are rewards that you can get based off of sales, based off of certain accomplishments or certain tasks. And so that is always motivating and encouraging. And remember, you deserve to celebrate your hard work. So do not feel as if those small wins are not important, because small wins equal big wins. And every step forward that you take in your business is only going to help you have better processes, learn other things through the whole process, and it's going to lead you to other opportunities. Just branch out. So remember, you deserve to celebrate your hard work. Celebrate it, because it's going to lead to so many more positive things. So let's do a quick recap. So here's what we covered today. Small wins matter because they keep you motivated. They help build momentum and they lead to big wins. And you're probably accomplishing a lot more than you realize. So here's your challenge if you choose to take it. Celebrate one small win. Post about it on any of your social media channels. If you decide, do it on Instagram or Facebook. Tag the Marketing Reseller Podcast. We want to celebrate with you, and I will share a few on our stories. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps the podcast grow, and I'm so thankful for everyone listening. We get to impact more small businesses. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.